have to tell you, it hasn't been easy. I mean, as an Arabic woman, it's not easy. I still felt that I had to work harder and fight more to be heard.
Today's guest redefined online marketplaces and turned local platforms into global forces. Mary Ghobrial helped bring the first Arabic tech company to NASDAQ, guided Souk's $580 million acquisition by Amazon, and led strategies tapping into global e-commerce markets now worth over $5 trillion. Across 20 years at Amazon, PG, and more, she's proven that big visions backed by data and grit can transform entire industries.
I did get a lot of comments that were not appropriate, and you just need to work harder and you need to have a stronger personality. It's tough, I have to tell you. It's not easy, but you need to decide, I'm not going to change myself for that, and it worked.
Hi, welcome to Sheconomy podcast. My name is Karina. Unfortunately, Sophia couldn't make it today, but we have amazing guest. Today we have Mary Ghobrial. Welcome, Mary.
Thank you, Karina. Thank you so much.
Mary, it's a pleasure to meet you, and I'm so glad you're on this podcast.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here, and I love those jeans.
Thank you.
Super cool.
Thank you. I think they became my personality for the next few months.
Tiger. That's awesome. So it's like strong women personality.
Strong woman, exactly.
Love it. I love it.
And
I guess that's why we're here.
Yeah, exactly. And I know that you're a strong woman, and that let's start with I know that you take local brands, small local brands, and you bring them to be a global players. What is the first step to do that?
I think, in our today's world, I don't know if there is anything called local and global anymore, right? I mean, like you're sitting here and you're literally shopping everything from the US. My son who lives in LA is, just heard about the Dubai chocolate, and everyone around the world is asking for this chocolate. So I think those boundaries have kind of dissolved in a way, which is great. It's great for us, it's great for the economy, and it's great for brands, and it's particularly great for entrepreneurs. So I guess the most important thing, if you are an owner of a product or a brand, or you even work in a company, is to understand who your customer is. And the beauty now is the customer is no longer the customer within your geography, but is the worldwide customer. And if you're creating something that solves a customer need, it doesn't really matter where it is or where you are, as long as the customer wants that product. Because with today's technology, your product can reach the customer anywhere around the world. So let's just give some examples to make it easier, right? So let's think of Amazon, and then let's think of smaller brands that I currently work with. So at Amazon, believe it or not, and it's public data, 67% of Amazon GMV comes from sellers, third-party sellers. And these are global sellers. So these are sellers that sit in China or sit in Australia or sit hopefully as well in Saudi or in the UAE, that are actually selling their products on Amazon everywhere in the world, and not only on Amazon in one particular marketplace. So this is just a very good example of entirely how do you reach that global customer everywhere. But then to a smaller level, there are some of my clients that I love a lot are an amazing Japanese kids brand. It's called IFMI, and it's the #1 shoe in Japan, and we're helping them to launch and to scale here. So again, it's if you have an amazing product or brand that solves a particular problem, whether it's a kid in Japan or a kid in Riyadh, it's the same customer need and it's the same product. I think the key just differences as a brand and as a company that you need to think of are, #1, what is your go-to market? Okay, so you do have the product, the customer needs, but how do you reach that? So it is just the go-to market. It's, do you have the right resources to achieve that? So if you have the right to win, do you know how to win in that particular market? And these are just resources. So people is #1. #2 is, of course, your capital. Do you have that resource to be able to enter that market and scale in that market? But again, I have to say, with the technology of today, these resources have become even more efficient and optimized because you can launch on Amazon as an outside seller, and then hence you're everywhere. This is exactly what I'm doing now, is I'm helping actually the smaller companies, the smaller brands, to come, and we help them to launch first online, because this gives you the demand signals. We're able to see, oh my God, this is the right pricing, this is the right branding, this is the right message, and then we will be able to find the right partner for you on a retail level. So I think we live in an amazing global world, literally, and hence it's an opportunity for everyone to invent, to innovate, and to just think of their customer, and the customer is a global customer. We have amazing also, I want to say the other way around, right? We have amazing Arabic brands or local brands that have done it to a global level. I mean, you're beautiful. I don't know whether you wear makeup or not, but I'm sure you know Huda Beauty, right?
Of course, yes.
That's the only lipstick I wear. This is not an advertising for Huda Beauty, but I do love her. And I think Huda Beauty has done this in an amazing way, or Mona. So both Huda and Mona Kattan, the two sisters, have done an awesome job. I'm in love with what they've done, because they took a local, customer. They've launched it here locally first, but the need is actually a global need. The Kayali, by the way, the Kayali perfumes is sold in Sephora around the world, most probably more than it is sold in our Middle Eastern region, and it's because it's a product that everyone wants. And I think these are some great examples of Arabic brands that have evolved here, initiated here by women entrepreneurs who had made it to a global success story. And there's just such an inspiration. And I think every, Arabic woman, every woman, particularly in Dubai, which is an entrepreneurial area, has the capability, has the insights. And now the resources are much easier to get to be able to launch a brand and to scale a brand.
For me, I have two things to say. First of all, when I travel to see my friends all over the world, that's two things that bring. Something from Huda Beauty and Dubai chocolate.
Oh my God, exactly.
Because that's the right representation. And I do as well love that both of these brands were created by young women.
Yes.
That's really inspiring. And I really wanted to ask you about Dubai chocolate, but it's crazy what's going on, because when you try to order in Dubai chocolate, it's only on Deliveroo. It's only at 2 p.m. At 3 p.m. it's sold out.
Yeah.
So I do feel all the time like fear of missing out,
Yeah. Well, that's a great marketing strategy, isn't it?
Exactly.
Right?
That's
I think they do it. It's like, think of Apple when the iPhone launches, right? It's like only a few items, people are lining up, you want to get it first. It's that fear of missing out. And I think they have a great marketing team, I have to say, that creates that demand and creates that need. And hence it becomes viral. And I think now with social media, everything becomes viral very quickly. And again, it goes back to we are in a global world for real now.
Yeah, but as well, Mary, how it's always been your mindset? Because you say crazy things. Basically, with starting business, it can be global. You need resources, idea, belief, but I feel like the mindset is a big one here, because I do feel like a lot of brands start and think, oh, this is my target audience, this is my city. Basically, this is a different mindset that you're having. Have it always been like that since you know yourself, that we go global, or it's changed with time?
No, I mean, I don't think every single brand has to start with, I'm going to be a global brand. I don't think so. I mean, I've worked on many companies that were global, but we were trying to localize. I mean, I started my career selling soaps at Procter & Gamble. And my job was to actually take that global brand, Pert Plus or Pantene, and to localize it, to make it relevant, whether it be from a pricing, from a packaging perspective, to an Egyptian, woman in a rural area. I don't think that P&G, when they invented Pantene, they was like, oh, we're going to take this globally. I think they invented it for, initially at the time it was probably the US customer. This is what they need. And then they go around the world. But equally, I don't think when, and we can ask her, I don't think when Hoda Katan started her beauty brand, her intention was to make it a global brand. I think she really wanted to solve a customer problem, and she started with the eyelashes, and then suddenly it became a global need. So I don't think, but however, with that said, you do need to make sure that you have the mindset that your customer problem that you're solving or the product that you're inventing is big enough, and you're not limited to the boundaries. I just came back from Doha, and I was helping a few startups in Doha, in Qatar, and some of them have invented a product or a technology that is actually, it starts in Qatar, but it has the ability to go globally, at least to the Middle East. The others did not think about it from the beginning, and hence the way they structured their framework and their technology is limited to Qatar boundaries, and hence now they're stuck, because at the end of the day, Qatar is 3 million people, and that's it. You can't really scale beyond that. So I think it's a mix. It's a mix of what is the product, what's the customer problem you're solving, but then how have you done it so that it enables you, whether you're able to actually go around the world or you're stuck within the boundaries that you are at.
I love how you're saying solving problems, because it's true. Why you start the business to solve this problem? How often do you see brands that don't solve a problem and you think it's better to do something else?
Well, I think sometimes you actually create a need, right? So it's not always that you have a need and you're solving that particular need. A lot of the Dubai chocolate, there is no real problem, right? I mean, everyone has access to chocolate, everyone has access to kunafa and pistachio. So it's not particularly a problem.
I had though a problem, because I was just, I don't know, it was just always I bring dates, and it was being like, oh, okay, it's always dates. So I really wanted something else. And it's so modern that, like, finally, it's not like I give box of dates and they're like, oh, thank you. Now it's like,
a
okay,
box of
we
chocolate.
need to try, we need a phone, we need to record.
Yes,
like the whole thing is going on now.
So they created a brand, right? So sometimes the need is not a particular problem that you're solving, but it's just the social impact of it. So in this particular case, it is they created the want of Dubai. So what they're selling in reality is not just the chocolate and the kunafa. They're selling the image of Dubai, and Dubai is such an amazing brand. Like everyone, when you think of Dubai, you think of Burj Khalifa, you think of success, you think of entrepreneurship, and I think the Dubai chocolate this is what they're really doing, is they're creating a taste of Dubai that aspires. So in here, they're selling a dream and not necessarily just the bar of chocolate per se. So this is what really, and that's the difference between just a product and a brand. A brand is you're selling the emotional end-to-end benefits of that brand, versus only the functional benefits of the chocolate, because the functional benefit, you can achieve that with any bar of chocolate, but the aspiration and the dream, and I'm very honored to be working with Warner Music on a project, and I have someone from Warner in the US is like, I just want this chocolate, I want the Dubai chocolate, and that's like, so that's the kind of dream and appeal that they have created.
I wonder, well, when she was creating it, like she would expect this madness.
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. But that's, when you're creating something and you're being genuine about it, and that's why I go back to the customer. I mean, maybe the need for that was like, oh, I really like kunafa and I really like chocolate, and she was making it manually in the house, and that's how it started. So there must have been an insight that has intrigued it, and that's how it grew. I think the success of these happen when you are being honest and you're really doing something for real. You're not you're not starting a business because I want to be X, but it's really, this is my customer, this is my need. If I would use it, then I would be able to sell it to others. That's really it. Like what I'm doing today, it came out of a need, right? I found that a lot of the smaller brands, a lot of the smaller companies who can't afford, a huge consultancy firm or a huge advisory firm, who want to come to the Middle East, they were stuck. There's like, we don't know where to go. We don't know how to do it. We don't have the money to do it, but we know that there is a demand for our brands to come to the Middle East. And I was like, hold on a minute. I'm an entrepreneur. I started, when we started Souk, we were a bunch of entrepreneurs. We were not Amazonians at that level. And we were really solving customer problems. And I think working with amazing entrepreneurs like Ronaldo and so forth, it taught us, and it taught me personally, to every time there is a problem, we solved it ourselves and we built it ourselves, even if it did not exist. Which takes me, but at a level of Amazon, it was, of course, easy. You have the technology, you have the engineers, you have the resources, you have the cash. So we were able to help big brands to expand globally. But the smaller brands don't have these resources. And I was like, okay, hold on a minute. I'm a builder. Let me leave the comfort of a huge tech company and help really those small companies, those small entrepreneurs, whether it be they want to come to the region or the other way around. The Arabic entrepreneurs, which I'm particularly passionate about, particularly the women Arabic entrepreneurs, and how can I help them to go around the world? And it just started by that. It literally started with a few of my friends. A few of them was like, can you help us? Can you help us? A few companies calling me, hey, Mary, we know you. Can you help us? I was like, well, maybe there is a need. There is a customer problem. I can solve this customer problem. Let me then do it and take it around the world, take it globally. So my small company now has clients from Japan, has clients from the US, I have clients from Korea, I have clients from India, and it's just me. We're only 6 people. We're a very, very small company, but we went around the world. We became a global company in a way, and that's because there is a real problem that we are solving, and we're offering it at a really, competitive price, something that meets the demands of those small brands and small entrepreneurs.
That's fantastic. And as you mentioned, Souk already, I was 18 when I came to Dubai. I got started to have my first salary and I discovered Souk.
Yeah.
I think that's where 50% of my salary was going. It was amazing. I think you're right. It was solving a problem. It was this just like one source, one place where you can get everything you need.
Yeah.
Quick.
And actually I'm so happy you're saying that, because like I was also wearing the marketing hat at Souk at the time, and we were solving problem. And I think the good thing about it is we were not building only a technology and a marketplace. We really had the vision of exactly what you are saying. We had the vision of enabling the customers in the Middle East to have access to selection at a better price, right? So you would get people who was like, oh, I just came back from the US and I wish we had an Amazon here. I just saw this toy for my son and I wish we had this toy here, and so forth. And it was like, okay, hold on a minute. We have the technology, we have access, let's just get the selection. And the objective was not just to make more money. Okay, that was honestly every day we would go to work in the morning, and our objective was not that. Our objective was to make the customers in the Middle East have the ability to buy more, to have access to that selection at a better price. And then also from the other side of the coin, to actually enable the sellers in the Middle East to grow their businesses. Because when you are a small merchant, you don't have the power of opening a store in a Dubai mall of the world, but you can grow your business by selling online. So by literally just totally focusing on this empowerment for both the customer and the seller, we were able to build an Amazon of the Middle East and then eventually sell it to Amazon.
And so that's fantastic. We're talking about souk, we were talking about Dubai chocolate, Huda, women in leadership. I am sure that throughout your career, you've been to a lot of board meetings, and 95% were men in there. Have you ever felt in this part of the world or while traveling that women in business need to get heard?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have to tell you, it hasn't been easy. I mean, as an Arabic woman, it's not easy. I always had to work harder than anyone else. I always had to, fight more to get my share of voice in the boardroom. And you think that, even with big companies like Amazon of the world, where diversity and inclusion is actually one of the leadership skills, and we were, you had to make sure that there is that percentage of, diversity. But in reality, it's still not that easy when you're the only, woman, when you're the only C-level in a room, when you're the only L8 or L10, these are levels at Amazon in the room. I still felt that I had to work harder and fight more to be heard. So I think you were talking about the acquisition and all of this. Yes, when we were on the road shows initially, and we would meet with investors and potential investors and bankers, even if I am the one presenting, because at the time I was the chief commercial officer and chief strategy officer. So I led actually the business side of the entire presentations of the business, so that we're able to raise capital. And even though I would be the one presenting, a lot of the times you will get the questions, whether it be from the bankers or from the potential investors, particularly if they were from the region, that will go to our, CEO or CFO. And it's only by multiple times when you reply, when you have the data, then you establish yourself that, okay, hey, it's me, you can talk to me next time. So I have to say, you do it. It's hard at the beginning. When I started my career in Procter & Gamble, and you would be in a room with all men, many times I would walk out and I would cry, and then I go back again. So it's not easy. 20 years ago, when we had to go to Saudi Arabia, when there was a door for the women separate than a door for the men, or I would go into a government meeting and there are no toilets for the women, that was tough, right? But now look at where we are today. So a lot of things have definitely advanced, but it's still, there's a lot of small details where no matter what, I believe a woman who wants to prove herself in the C-level, in the boardroom, has to work harder and has to have the guts to do it. And, she will be called, I was called a lot of the times that I'm very aggressive. I was called, I'm the bulldozer. I was called, so you are called a lot of things only because the men in the room don't expect you to be, to answer back or to fight or whatever. They expect you to accept, and, you have to be hard. And it's like, no, I don't accept. This is my opinion. This is my right. And you fight for it.
I actually heard one interesting thing that with COVID and working online, women has now more chances to be in leadership positions because they don't need to wear power suits. They don't need to joke when sometimes they are not the office clowns get promoted quicker. So they say that women needed to act differently, but now with working from home, it became more just direct communication, and that's what I heard. But I'm just wondering for your opinion.
That's quite interesting. I always, honestly, I just didn't care. I like fashion, and I'm very extravagant in my fashion, and I just didn't care. I would wear, a red jumpsuit to the board meetings, and and that was me. And I agree with you. And particularly, at Amazon, when we first went to Seattle, I remember very well, I met 2 or 3 other leaders we were in a leadership course, and one of them came to tell me, she's like, you know what, I admire, because me too, I'm very stylish. And she was beautiful, she was stunning. And she said, did you feel because you are a beautiful woman that you get even more, criticism versus just another woman who's trying to look like a man? And I was like, honestly, I didn't think about it, but I wouldn't change. I'm a woman. I embrace being a woman. Embrace being a beautiful woman, and I will not hide it, and I will not wear only a pantsuit or an ugly gray suit. I will wear a dress to my board meeting, and that's because I am. Now, is it easier or not easier? It depends. Sometimes it was definitely much tougher. I did get a lot of comments that were, not appropriate comments, and you just you need to work harder, and you need to have a stronger personality to be able to go through that. It's tough, I have to tell you. It's not easy, but you need to decide. I'm not going to change myself for that, and it worked.
It's fantastic. It's very inspirational that you reached unbelievable things, but you kept your personality always with you. Like, you were not changing or adapting to look somehow different. It's really inspirational. Mary, let's talk finance. I know that you guided companies through their major finance phases. This is quite a personal question, but I think that's what we really want to know. What did you apply as well to your personal finances? Any of this knowledge, or have any advice? And from which age do we need to worry about our personal finances?
Oh, well, that's a good question. So on both a professional and a personal level, I'm a risk taker. So I always, like, when I would do our 5 years plan, I would always let's do a stretched objective. Let's go big, because when you build, when you think big, basically, you're able to achieve much more. So my first advice was, like, I always, you think big, you take some risks. Have always a CFO who's your opposite. So, like, make sure that you've got someone who, make sure that the numbers are actually, you don't get bankrupt. And I tend to have applied this on my personal level as well. So I took risks. I invested in a coffee shop when I was, 20 something years old, and I brought that brand to Dubai. It's called the Chocolate Bar, and then I franchised it, and then I sold it, and that's probably the first big amount of money that I made as an entrepreneur and not as an employee. And then it worked, and then I did Lush Cosmetics. I brought them into the Middle East, and I was like, I was working as an employee. It had nothing to do, but I did the entrepreneurship. So I take risks. I think big, and I take risks, both on a professional level and on a personal level. But just make sure you have someone who thinks with you. In my case, I had, we had an amazing CFO who at Souk.com, and honestly, without him, I don't think that Souk would have been, would have scaled and grown. Today in my small business, I have an amazing partner who is always the numbers cruncher with me. And we have a team of advisors. So when we come to advise the brands, we also have that amazing combination. So we do the model, we think big with them, we do a 5 years model plan. And then we start with a smaller objective so that we are able to achieve it on a monthly, weekly, and measure. I think the key to successfully, financial is just make sure you have a good measurement processes and measure. So if your goal is to do 10x, that means per week you have to do 1x. Did you achieve the 1x or not? Because if you have achieved it, then you're going to get to the 10x, but you can't just overnight go to the 10x. So measurement is super important.
Great. I think we found the name for our podcast.
Yeah.
I am risk taker.
I am a risk taker. It's the risk taker fashionista.
Oh, I love it. Thank you, Mary.
Oh,
You've been
you-
amazing, and it's still like so much you have to tell us. So
Oh, absolutely. I'd love to come back and talk. I've done a lot of mistakes as well. So definitely we can do a few episodes about my mistakes.
you're pure inspiration.
All right.
Thank
you
Mary.
for having me. Take care.
Thank you.